My name is Engineer John Mosonik. I am the Principal Secretary in charge of infrastructure. I know many of you came from overseas, other countries. And again, our usual kind of hospitality, welcome, and hope you'll find time to look around after the conference. But apart from that, also hope you'll be able to find something tangible after this conference, which will take us forward. I apologize again because a little kind of change in program because due to other unforeseen circumstances, and we'll be all looking forward to officially opening the conference after break. That is around 11 o'clock. And we'll be expecting the Cabinet Secretary, in charge of National Treasury, and also Transport and Infrastructure to officially come and open the conference. So without much ado, again, welcome. And we'll start the program with a presentation. And I think by 11 o'clock, we'll have made good progress. So again, thank you again and welcome. Thank you.
Dear guests, maybe a small synopsis into what we are in the infrastructure department. We have a State Department of Infrastructure. Under the State Department of Infrastructure, we have 3 road authorities. One is the Kenya National Highway Authority. The other one is the Kenya Urban Roads Authority. And the other one is Kenya Rural Roads Authority. So the ministry drives the policy and the coordination, whereas the authorities are the implementers of our programs. And today, you'll be able to see and hear from our Director Generals who represent these authorities. But before that, now that we are warm from the welcome speech by our Principal Secretary, we will ask our Director of PPP unit in the National Treasury to make also some few remarks in relation to the packages that today will be presented to you as wonderful investment portfolios for you.
To this roads, PPP Roads Investors Conference. I'm delighted to see quite a number of people. Some of them I have seen before, some of them I haven't seen. But before I make, myself, I will not make remarks. I'll make a presentation because I think we are into the program. And I think in the program I was supposed to make a presentation. My presentation is not necessarily going to be about roads. My presentation is about the way the government is looking at this PPP as a program, not as an individual project. And I just want to tell you where we are and what we are doing. Then obviously after that, the Director General for Kenya will come and make a presentation specifically on the road program. I think, first of all, for our visitors, let me say that the National Treasury and the Public-Private Partnership Unit generally works with the contracting authorities to develop these PPP projects. We support them in the preparation of these projects. But the projects are theirs. We don't own them, but we support them. But we work together because we work as a government. So, our participation in this conference and our joint effort in trying to organize this conference is geared towards creating those synergies. And therefore, I just want to make that very brief presentation. I think I just wanted to look at the PPP market because as we do these projects, they are within a bigger framework of things. And we are looking at the PPP market here in this country and looking at the key things that we need to put in together so that we can be able to realize and be able to successfully implement these projects and other projects in other sectors. And we are looking at basically at 3 things for the PPP market, 3 things. We are looking at the projects themselves. Do we have those bankable projects? And I think this is a question we are addressing today. Where are these projects? We have the 5 road projects that we'll be discussing today. Then the other things we are looking at is where is the money? I know we also had invited a number of readers into this meeting, and I know they came with bags of money. I think we welcome you most here in this meeting. So we are looking for money, because even if you have these very good projects, where is the money going to come from? You need money. The other thing that you need a good environment to do that business. So if you have the three things, you have bankable projects, you have the money, and you have the right environment, you are in business. This is basically what you're saying. And I think we are trying to assess, do we have these things in this country? Because as you do these projects, these are the questions that you'll be asking yourself. And I can tell you, most of those things are in place. When you look at the projects, and I don't want to talk about this, we will be presenting the 5 projects, and we have done feasibility studies on these projects, and we know they are bankable, and we have made them bankable. So you have the projects. So, and of course, we have other projects that we are preparing. We have a number of projects, most of them at the feasibility study stage. So this is not only your first investors conference to come here. We will invite you another day to come for another investors conference for other projects. So don't get tired of coming here. The other thing is about the finance. I know, as I said, we have a number of readers in this room. We have bankers, we have DFIs, we have project developers, and I believe the reason why we came here is because we want to put our minds together, the people with the money, the people with the projects, the people who deal with the regulatory issues, so that we can see whether these projects can be implemented. And that's why we are here. And I believe all these participants and actors are there. The other thing is about the environment of doing this business. We have the right environment in this country, and we have tried to create an enabling framework, and this has been a long journey since 2009. We have an act of parliament, we have the right policies, and of course, the act provides a number of things that facilitate the development of these public-private partnership projects, including these road projects that we are talking about today. And the act talks about 2 methods of procurement, and we have been receiving a number of, from some of the developers, unsolicited proposals, but the projects that we are discussing today are going to be implemented through a competitive tendering process. So, and now, the other question most of the investors ask, and they keep on asking this question, and I think that's the assurance I want to give them. It's about predictability of doing business in government. Because if you don't have predictability, it is very difficult to succeed in doing these projects. And mostly people ask questions as, do you have a track record of doing this kind of similar business? Or you're just trying to start something you really don't understand? And I think the country has had a very good track record in many other sectors, specifically the energy sector. We have done this business for a long time, but we have not yet done business in the road sector. And I think this is where we want to, this is the new areas that we want to start doing business. In the power sector, for instance, all these are projects done through private sector. Some of them have been in operation for the last almost 20 years. And the government has never defaulted on its payment. And we believe even those road sector projects, when we bring on board, the question of whether we are defaulting or not defaulting is not going to arise, because that's one of the concerns of most of the investors, that the government have the track record and predictability and capability to be able to make commitments and honor those commitments at the right time. So, and we have other programs that we have been doing. We haven't crossed them yet, but we believe we are almost there. So the road sector, we also started something small. We had wanted to start small, but we are not yet there. But we believe we are moving in the right direction. And some of these projects, we believe they can be closed also fairly quickly, even before we commence the procurement of some of these projects. So it's not a business that we are trying to do as an isolated business of these 5 key roads. We are doing it as a program. And obviously, the other thing, and I think as you saw from my slide, is most of the projects are at the preparation stage. And the biggest challenge we have at the moment is bringing these projects to the market, preparing these projects to the market. That's one of the most challenging things, because it's also expensive. The transaction advisors who are with me here, they don't earn nothing. they earn some money. So it's quite an expensive venture. And I think the good thing about this is that we have a number of donors who are supporting us to bring these projects to the market, including the World Bank. Specifically, these 5 road projects that we are doing at the moment, we did receive support from the World Bank, and we have been using those resources to prepare those projects, and we are where we are because of that support that we received from the bank. And of course, the projects, as I said, we have 5 projects. I think this is going to be our discussion the whole of today, so I really don't want to dwell on them at the moment. Now, the other things that obviously most investors ask is about what are the government support measures that are available in this country to de-risk some of these projects? Because these are key questions that are asked in all the sectors, whether it is the road projects, whether it is the power production, whether it is students' hostels. All these questions are asked all the time. And I think most of the investors and lenders, sometimes they come and tell us, we can only provide money to these projects if government is willing to provide a sovereign guarantee. And I think that's not the way we want to do this business. There's something that we invented some time back called letter of support. We have used it in the energy sector, and very successfully. Most of those projects that have been closed, almost 10, 12, 15 projects, we have used what you call letter of support. And the letter of support is basically an instrument to cover the investors in terms of political risks, because the other commercial risks are supposed to be covered through other instruments. And obviously, when we started this letter of support, initially it was 1 page. Then we started lighting. Now it's about 25 pages. Now we have decided to get back to 2 pages. And now we are discussing with a number of readers and investors to bring back to a letter. Because when I read it, I was trying to read it the other day, I can't understand the sentences. Because 1 paragraph is 1 sentence, because now it has become a legal document. So we want to make it a letter so that even you read, I read, we understand it the same way. And I think these are instruments that we are currently packaging, and we have come up with the standard templates. And we believe this is going to help investors close most of their deals. So we are not issuing letters, sovereign guarantees. We'll be offering those letters of support. Now, the other thing we look at from Treasury side, and my CS, as you have heard, will be here to talk about money, because I can't talk about money because the CS will be here shortly at around 11 o'clock, because that's the time they want to come and open the conference, because they were engaged in other things. And they said, why don't we start with the presentations and talks and everything else, then they come at 11. So he will be here to talk about money. But these projects, and I have chosen my words very carefully. We are calling investors to come and finance, build, operate, and transfer these roads for an agreed period of time. Now, the main discussion is how these projects are going to be funded. Through what? I don't want to mention the word tolls, because when you mention tolls, everything else becomes tolls. Now, but the government is pushing this agenda of user pay principle. We build good roads for you, we give you good services, then you pay for that service. So we are pushing this agenda of user pay principle. So we believe that these roads, once they are developed, the investments will be recovered from user fees. This is the way they have been designed, and I think we'll be talking about them over the next today and tomorrow. And of course, wherever the money is not enough, government will create a mechanism to provide for those additional resources where they are not adequate.